Lisa. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, I am so excited to dive into this. Like we were just saying before recording, there's so much drama when it comes around weddings and events and all that stuff. But before I talk too much, can you just tell everyone a little bit about you and I don't know, like maybe what interested you in coming on? I feel like I've seen your content a lot and I feel like you share a lot of important takes. So I'm just interested to hear a little bit more about you and what kind of interested you.
Yeah, well, I'm Lisa. My handle is It's Me, Lisa P, across all socials. I share a lot about motherhood and relationships on my page. So the conversation of weddings absolutely comes up. The conversation of marriage comes up. So I was intrigued to kind of come on here and talk about some of the drama that surrounds it. But yeah, my content really focuses on relationship motherhood centered, but with like a real life spin. I like to kind of get to the why of the way things are in a cute outfit. So a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I love your style. I'm always like, you're so put together. And I like thought about that when I was coming on. I was like, okay, I need to make sure I'm like dressed well because I know Lisa will be. She has such good style.
Listen, I love an outfit, but I am just as likely to show up in like my gym clothes if I haven't had a chance to get changed. So I totally get it. This is one of my self-care pick-me-up things that kind of got me out of my motherhood blues. And I consistently keep up with it because I know it's such a mental health thing for me.
Yes, I am right there with you. I did the same thing, especially with working from home. I feel like you don't see a lot of people all the time, or like I'm just here with my child. And so sometimes it's just like I need that feeling of getting ready. And so, like, even when I was home during COVID, I was like, I need to like make sure I do something to make for myself. It's like an art.
I think I got more into it actually during COVID because I was already a stay-at-home mom, but I had that busy schedule outside of the home. So I'd go from like gym to running errands to being with the kids. So I like wouldn't have that time. And then once everyone was home, yeah, like fully sweatpanted, I was like, oh, no, no, no. I gotta get up and put some pants on
Yeah.
because otherwise this is going to be it for the next decade for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, 100%. I know. I was like, I can't be someone, I can't just like sit in sweats all day. Of course, there are days I am in sweats all day. I will never deny that. I love a good sweatsuit. But yeah, if I'm doing something from home, I'm like, I still need to like do something or else I will just melt into my bed.
For sure. It shifts your energy, I think. And it definitely makes me feel more, especially because I'm around little people all day, it makes me feel like a little bit more adult.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Okay, so jumping into crazy stories, people love hearing the crazy wedding stories. I'm sure we've all have witnessed, I know I have some things. You have a situation, I don't know if situation's the right word, something that happened in your family when it's relating to weddings and marriage. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I feel like I have to preface this with me and my husband moved very quickly. Right after we met, we knew that was it. Like we were ready. I think we like attempted to put a deposit on a wedding venue down before we were even like publicly engaged.
Wow.
So it was very untraditional in that sense. And I think that sort of started off the entire wedding journey with our respective families and kind of threw everyone for a loop from the get-go. We were just ready to get married as soon as we met. And yeah, so we actually met because my parents, who were like new transplants to Charleston, which is where I'm still living, they had met his parents and they had become fast friends. So
Mhm.
they were friends first before I had even met my husband, before I had even like heard of my husband. And somehow through the process of us getting married, their relationship completely disintegrated. And you hear it all the time with weddings that friendships will break up.
Mhm.
But like this was so out of left field because these were like the adults in the room, right? These were the parents.
Yeah, especially too because I don't know, I feel like that's like a dream for a lot of people. They meet and then it's like, oh my gosh, maybe our kids will get married, like it just
We thought we had it hacked. We thought we were about to hit the grandparent lottery of like, oh, we'll have kids and they'll just all watch these kids and just hang out. Like, this will be great. It did not work out like that.
was it the wedding planning? And of course, like if there's anything too intrusive or you don't want to share, like just stop me. Do you think the wedding planning or like the moving fast or anything with that had to do with it or just happenstance?
I think so. It was 100% the wedding, mostly. I mean, again, I'm not privy to like what went on behind closed doors in their friendship. There might have been like some underlying stuff, like who knows, right? That's their drama. But the wedding added so much pressure onto it and onto me and my husband at the time, too. Wedding planning is extremely stressful. There's money involved, there's traditions involved. there's a lot of things that like are much more serious than a
Mhm.
social relationship. And sometimes you kind of, what I think happened is like their incompatibilities as friends kind of got blown up, like blown wider because of the wedding planning and the pressure of that.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone how like weddings, especially when you bring in two families together, it almost brings in this unnecessary comparison though, right? Because it's like if someone's like, let's say family A is like really into planning and maybe they have a little more in finances or something, the other one not so much, they might feel a little like not insecure about it, but they might be like, "Ooh, I'm uncomfortable with this," or I feel like they're doing so much and I can't do enough, or I'm being pushed out when that might not be actually happening. They might just kind of have those feelings of like, what's going on here?
I think everybody wants it to be like really even, really down the line. And like in movies, you see it. There's like the bride side and the groom side, and it's equal. And I think that's just not as realistic as like it actually goes down. I know in our situation, both of my parents are only children. So there isn't like a huge extended family on that end, but traditionally the bride pays for the wedding. So like there was a lot of, well, this seems like a lot of your people and we don't have a lot of people. And we had a very small wedding anyway, because that's just what we wanted. But it definitely, everyone had a lot of feelings about it, about how many people were coming, how many cousins we could invite, who all was going to be there, who all was paying for what. And it just, ugh,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
compounded.
There's so many, yeah, opinions that come into a wedding that it's so hard. My number one tip for brides like that like watch and listen, I'm just like, get on the same page with your partner first. Block
Yeah.
out all the noise because it's so hard. It's like you get people coming in that you maybe never had an opinion on anything before, and they come in, they're like, you need this. And you're like, wait, do I
Yeah.
need
Where
that?
did this come from? Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I think
second guessing.
weddings are in some way like not indicative at all of marriage. So I think it's such a weird standalone experience. And again, I'm now looking at it like 12, we just celebrated our 12-year anniversary. So like 12 years later, all the feelings have subsided. We can laugh at it now, right? We can all laugh at the drama and the craziness and how stressed we were because it wasn't the end of the world at the end of the day. We got married and we've been married, and marriage is longer, right, than the wedding part. But I think the families coming together, this is the first time where people have to like work together, work within each other's boundaries, maybe set some boundaries, maybe do things that their mother-in-law doesn't like. These are the first things that you're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make everyone happy and myself happy all at the same day, the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's like all the personalities coming together and certain ones really shining a way we might not have seen before. I've definitely seen it in a lot of weddings. I've seen it in a lot of just events in general, just like family events. You see like, oh, that's how they are in this light, right? Or this is how
That's how
they
they
are
feel about
here.
that. That's interesting.
Yeah, especially like you don't know what other pressures they're getting. Like I know I've just certain brides I've known before they got married, and then I know them during their wedding, and I know them after their wedding, and I'm like, oh, some of them were different people during all of those stages. And not
Oh,
saying
yeah.
good or bad, I'm just saying like they just had different pressures put on them or different situations, and it's just interesting how that comes up.
I mean, I know I fell victim to like the want everything to be perfect, like hyper fixating. I think brides in general do that. I think that's where the bridezilla comes from
Yep.
because there's so much pressure to want this day to be this picture perfect, oh my God, once in a million time moment. And there's so much pressure on it that I like, oh my God, I joke with people all the time that I wish I had been a guest at my wedding because my wedding was awesome. Being the bride at my wedding was not awesome.
Yeah, I heard that so many times. And I was one of the later ones, like out of my friend group, I was one of the last ones to get married. My husband and I had been in so many weddings, so I've seen so many. And I heard so many brides say that they were like, I didn't get to enjoy it, or like there was too much of this going on, or I kept getting pulled in different directions. And so I was like, okay, I want to try so hard not that to happen. Of course, it did to some extent. But yeah, you hear about that so many times. You put all this pressure on this day, and half the time the bride and groom don't get to enjoy it the way they want to.
Yeah, I think there's just so much anxiety and so much riding on it. And like, I feel like that contributed a ton to our parents kind of having a friend break up during it for sure. Because everyone is kind of like, and this sounds terrible because it's like a day of love, but like everyone's kind of their ugliest selves around wedding planning because there's big money and there's big expectations and there's big family. It's a recipe for disaster. It's just a recipe for like something to happen. There's going to be some drama. It could be like with your girlfriends, it could be with like a bridesmaid or a groomsman, or it doesn't have to be your immediate family, but like something's coming up.
Yeah, oh, that's for sure. They say everyone's like true colors come out during intense moments and events like that. So moving past that, so they kind of just drifted apart and like now at family events, so they just kind of like drift by.
They like still aren't friends. They are co-grandparents, and there are like family events where everybody comes and everyone's like fine and peaceful, but like to the point where I almost forget that they used to hang out like independently before us, you know what I mean? They
It's
act
like
like
strange.
regular in-law grandparents, but yeah, they used to like have beers by the pool and hang out, and that just blows my mind.
Wow. It's interesting how relationships can just change so quickly like that when you go through an experience, I guess.
Well, and I'm sure they all in their own way probably like, we're gonna have to see them forever. Like a divorced couple.
Yes. Yeah, they're literally going through all those stages because they
Yeah,
had
you can't just
kids.
ghost each other and like never see each other again because it would be easier. Like you could totally do that. One set of these parents doesn't even live here anymore. So like it would be easy to never even think about each other, except for the fact that you share grandchildren now. So be careful who your friends are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Wow. Yeah. I would say that would be I don't even know if I would call it the crazy story. It's sad that that happens and it's like sad that there's pressure around weddings and stuff, but I guess maybe it wasn't meant to be at the end. It was meant to
I
be
like
because
to,
you guys met through it.
I like to think that they were friends only for long enough to like bring me and my husband together. That's my like silver lining about it, that they were never really meant to be friends. That was kind of part of like the plan.
Yes. I love that. I love that. And you guys knew right from the bat that it was meant to be. So,
Yeah, we knew really early. And like I know everybody says that some people get that light bulb moment. Personally, like full disclosure, I didn't have the light bulb moment. My husband had the light bulb moment. But yeah, he turned to his dad after the first weekend we had met. And we met at my dad's 60th birthday. And we met because I flew down to Charleston for my dad's birthday. And my husband's parents were guests at this birthday party shindig situation. And they roped him into coming to kind of like hang out with me because I would be the only under 60-year-old person. And that's how we met. We were like kind of, it wasn't a setup, but it worked.
yeah, it like wasn't a setup. They were like, they've got a son. I don't know. You're home.
Yeah, like bring your son.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll head it off.
Yeah. It was all meant to be in just a different kind of way. All right. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. Craving more wedding drama? Join my wedding party Patreon for Here Comes the Drama After Dark. Each month, we dive into juicy confessions, wedding 911 advice, and the spiciest hot takes. And of course, we always end with a wild wedding story reacting in real time. From bridesmaids to groomsmen, mother in law madness to photographer fails, every month has a new theme. Patreon members get early access to all regular episodes and an exclusive chat to discuss the drama. Don't just hear the drama, be a part of it. Join now. Okay, let's get into some wedding hot takes. So these are different hot takes that people send to me on my stories, and we're just gonna kind of react to them, say what you think about them.
Okay.
All right. Should couples get to control what guests post on social media about their wedding?
I guess it depends before or after the wedding, but like, I don't think so.
I know I've never really heard of that before. Lately, I've been getting a few more like that. I was never like
I
weird
feel like I
about
got way too early to like even have that as a conversation because like the hashtag thing hadn't happened. So I don't think you can control everyone around you. No, unfortunately,
yeah.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to like, okay, if the bride's getting ready and she hasn't come out yet, yeah, like don't post
Yeah, don't
pictures.
post a picture of the bride in her dress before she does her like walk down the aisle. Be respectful. Don't post any pictures where the bride looks bad. I feel like that's just not being a friend,
Yeah.
right? If you catch her like picking a booger, maybe don't post that one. But yeah, as far as what they can share, I don't see a problem with it.
I feel like it's like the age we live in. It's like you just know being a bride or groom at the wedding, people are gonna take pictures. Hopefully not during the ceremony if you have no photos.
Yeah, you're not just going to be able to share your professional photos. People will have like
Oh
candids
well.
and stuff.
Yeah, and a lot
And
of times those turn out really good. I mean, I didn't have photos during the ceremony, but like I had some random like friends that took photos like during our first dance that were like so good that like just they just happened to catch. And I was like, I
yeah,
love
you don't want to, yeah. We had a videographer, which I think was like pretty new when we got married. We got married in 2013. So like
that.
it was a while ago. So we had a videographer and we had a photographer, and I wanted a lot of those candids. So we did get a good amount of those, which I'm so thankful for because I think those are so fun.
Yeah, I know. I ended up liking because yeah, we did the same. We had two photographers and a videographer, and I loved the candid photos so much more than the staged ones. Like The stage ones, I was
Oh, I
like,
know. That was one of the things I had to fight my family on because I wanted like a very, I guess now you would call it like editorial style
mhm.
photography because I just thought it was so romantic and pretty. And again, this was right like in the middle of Pinterest wedding. So I was like, let me do something a little different. And they were like, no, you have to have the like portraits. We have to do every family member in every iteration, stand there, smile, portrait. And I was like, okay, that one I was fine.
You're like, all right, that's your thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I know,
I
I feel
am
like,
glad I have those though now, but
yeah, I feel like they're the ones that look nice, but like I felt like when I was looking through them, I was like, that just doesn't look like me. But yeah, you gotta have
yeah,
those. But
sometimes you got to do the old school thing for sure.
yeah, it's good. It's a balance. All right. Is it setting boundaries or just controlling to ban certain songs, colors, or styles from your wedding? Because I've been hearing this more and more about people like setting a certain like color.
No, actually, I think that's setting boundaries. In fact, I don't think it's controlling. I think it's curating.
Mm-hmm.
You're curating your event. And I'm a girl who loves a theme. Okay. So, like, if someone gave me a color palette and a vibe, I would be psyched because I'd be like, what? We're doing glam Met Gala, black tie? Got it. I feel like I think that is curating not just the after product, like the photos and stuff, but you're curating the whole experience, which makes it a more immersive experience in general. And that kind of elevates everyone's experience.
Yeah. I was just talking to someone about it, and people get so offended by being told there's a theme or like certain things to follow. But as a planner, as like, I don't know, type A in some aspects, I love being told it too. Like if they're like, wear a shade of pink, I'm like, let me find my best pink. Let me look
Yeah,
for it.
I know at least that you know the expectation. My biggest pet peeve is where it's like so randomly vague that you're like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Like barn cocktail. I'm like, are boots too much?
Right.
Like, where are we at? Which level? Give me more references. Give me a Pinterest board. That would be great. Give me a reference. I
Yeah.
have a friend of mine who does this constantly, and she's a like a photo stylist. It's very on brand for her. This is what she does, like her living. But whenever she has an event, she will send out a mood board
Oh my gosh, I
or
love
like
that.
outfits. Anyway, she had a big birthday that just happened, and she had it at a magic show, and she sent out a mood board, and everybody showed up and showed out. And like we were the only group that was dressed up, okay, like circus for performers, but we were all doing it together, okay?
Yeah.
And it had colors, it had mood and vibe, and she was like, "This is the vibe," and everyone was like, "Bet." And like someone came as like the rabbit coming out of the hat. It was wild, but it was so much
Oh my
fun.
gosh.
If you're
I
not into that, I can understand why that would be intimidating, but you could still just pick colors. You know,
yes.
you could still adhere to it.
Yeah. I think it's nice because when there's those times, certain events, not necessarily a wedding, but where like it looks like everyone's attending a different event. Like someone's in a formal dress, someone's in like leggings and a t-shirt. I feel like I always try to dress a little nicer than I think because I'm like, I don't ever want
Always
to be
better to be
underdressed.
overdressed. Take it
Yes.
from me.
Yes. That was like, I feel like someone told me that years ago, and I was like, yeah, I always want to be a little over because you never really know what to expect.
Yeah. Well, listen, if someone's going to talk about you, you would rather them talk about like, wow, she was really overdressed, but that was a great outfit than
Yes.
like, oh, yikes. You know what I mean? Like you'd always rather be like shining.
Yes. Yeah. Like, let's not wear like jeans to a wedding.
But I also feel like the dress code thing has gotten very convoluted in between our parents' generation and our generation, and now like the younger generation getting married. I feel like people really don't understand, and I see this on TikTok all the time. And I feel like since you're in the wedding sphere, you probably see it a lot, but like people don't understand the difference between cocktail and black tie or black tie and white tie. And these sort of like, I feel like giving the vibe and the color and like a theme is like the new way of doing that.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree because I've definitely have spent time Googling like, okay, it says cocktail formal, and I'm like, what does that mean? Is that like a step up from cocktail? And I'm like, what does that mean? So yeah, I agree. I feel like that's their way of like helping them out. Some people take it as like the bridezilla term, so entitled, so it's bridezilla to do this, but I'm like, I feel like from the bride's perspective, they're like, no, I'm trying to help. Like I'm just like
Yeah.
giving you some guidelines so you like it's
You're
easier
like,
for
yeah, it's a formal event, but it's also like in a meadow with grass and flowers. And like, yeah, you might not want to come in a sequined ball gown. Like, it's just not going to fit the vibe. So, like,
you. Yeah.
here's the vibe.
Yes, we want you to feel comfortable and at home here. That's what I always think about it. Awesome. Should a maid of honor or best man ever bring someone the bride or groom used to date? Oh, I'm gonna say no.
No, that's not even like a hot take. That's like an obvious one.
Yeah, I would hope not. I've been seeing these like crazy stories lately. Someone commented on a video saying that she was at a wedding where the maid of honor gave a speech for her sister. He was her twin sister. Turns out she had dated the groom before, and in her speech talked about how she was a better sister and that he should have picked her. I was like, how is this real? Like, I don't,
How do you marry your sister's ex-boyfriend?
that's what my
That's
thought.
was like that. Wait, yeah, like 5 steps back. How?
Yeah, because she's like, when he met the twin, he left the other one. So I'm like, how intense was like, were they like teenagers and dated, or were they like living together?
Yeah, was this like 10 years apart? You know what I mean? Like dated the sister in middle school.
Right.
Maybe if that's the situation where it was like you were 8 years old in third grade handing notes back together and you were like, this is my boyfriend. Your sister started dating him in college, then I could get it. That's like the only scenario I could see that being.
Right. That's like just really tricky waters. I just like, not for me. Not for me.
It's not for me. Absolutely not. I have two sisters and never has there been a stream crossed ever in any way, nor would there ever. That is just nope, no, thank you.
No. I'm the same with friends too. I know people that I'm like, oh, I dated my friend's ex, whatever. I'm just like, once a friend is like with that person, I'm like, no, I'm good. Thank
I
you.
agree. The closest I ever did was I dated for like a long time a guy that my friend had like a hookup once with, and there was a conversation ahead of time. Like there's got to be like a courtesy
Right.
call, being like, "Hey, is this weird for you? Is this okay? Are we okay?"
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's girl code. I mean, you've got
Oh,
to,
sure.
yeah, you can't date someone's like, no, that's
Yeah.
no.
Don't bring them to a wedding, please.
Definitely also don't bring them to the wedding.
Yeah, no surprises, especially. Hey, drama lovers, big news. My brand new book, Here Comes the Drama, A Ferris and Sloane Story, is officially out now. If you've been following their wild wedding saga online, this is the story you've been waiting for. Full of messy twists, sharp banter, family chaos, and heart you love. Even better, you can take advantage of early bird pricing all month long, only available through the end of June. So if you want the full story before the spoilers start flying, head to kristaennis.com/book or click the link in the show notes and grab your copy today. Okay, let's get into this week's wedding story submission. So these are a bunch of submissions that are sent to me. I don't read them ahead of time and we'll just react in real time. So feel free to stop me or I'll pause and here we go. Let's brace ourselves. Okay. This wedding was just one crazy thing after another. We all flew across the country from Oregon to Georgia, though some of us flew into Nashville and drove to save some money, so the bride could get married at her parents' house. The thing is, they lived in a pretty normal subdivision in Georgia that they had moved to after she went off to college, so she had no emotional attachment to it, and very few attendees lived nearby. She had been there for a month preparing for the wedding, but when we arrived the week before, she hadn't done anything with the fake flowers to make them into bouquets. Hadn't picked a single song for the DJ, not even First Dance, so we jumped in to help. While I was helping her compose the song list, her dad yelled at me for being on his computer, even though his daughter was sitting right there with me. The morning of the wedding, the bride was in the front yard setting up chairs for the ceremony and starting to yell. I'm claustrophobic. If you're not helping set up chairs, get out of the yard, and none of you are helping. We tried to help, but she really didn't know what she needed help with and kept redoing everything herself, like moving chairs half an inch to the right. Yikes. When she was finally getting ready to get dressed, her mom was nowhere to be found. After waiting over an hour, we sent the bride's brother to check the neighbors' houses, and they found her mom getting her hair and makeup done there. When she finally came back to the bridal suite, which was actually just the master bedroom, the bride wanted a picture of her mom helping her into her dress. For some reason, instead of stepping into it, they lifted it up over her head and fell straight onto the mother of bride's freshly applied bright red lipstick.
Oh my God.
That's my nightmare. That's terrible. She said, yes, it stained the dress. Oh no. If she's already like that panicky, that's
Frazzled and pissed off. Oh my God.
everyone panicked. I ran to the computer. This was 2009, no smartphones yet. So I Googled to how to get lipstick out of the wedding dress. I don't even remember what the solution was, but we found the instructions and luckily the stain wasn't too noticeable in photos. So we moved on with the day. The bride had insisted to get these fancy high heels that matched the floral belt on her dress. Most of the bridesmaids didn't order them in time, but we all had to have heels in colors that coordinated with the floral belt. I was her roommate, so I made sure to order them early. They were expensive and uncomfortable. You were talking about like the having everyone look the same. And of course, we had to walk through a yard in them since the aisle was in the grass. So that was something that was not thought through.
This is already just like bad planning. Like this can all be attributed to a lot of bad planning.
Yeah, this is just like not thinking of the logistics behind everything. It's like, yeah, you want these great shoes, but we're going to be walking in muddy grass or,
Through the grass. Yeah.
yeah.
Ooh.
I'm already like bad in heels, so walking in grass is terrible. Okay, we basically aerated the lawn ourselves. I nearly lost a shoe, and another bridesmaid almost fell. They scheduled the ceremony for 5 p.m. in direct sunlight in the middle of July. The bride was sweating so much. One of her brothers, a groomsman, passed a handkerchief to the best man, who passed it to the groom and handed it to the bride so she could wipe her face.
Oh,
That's another thing. Weddings outdoor in the middle of the summer, it's so hard to plan for. I've been to a wedding in the middle of July, and same thing. We were like covered in sweat. The sun was literally like in our eyes. I don't know how
oh
the bride and groom
gosh.
felt.
Oh my gosh. Well, then your hair, yeah, like the hair, the makeup, the whole thing, like it's just
All that time and money is just, yeah.
I know. We got married at the end of April, and in Charleston, it's like hit or miss. We like luckily had a good day, but we almost got rained out, so it could go the other way.
Right. It's like so hard because you never know. Every month has their kind of battles. Same with us. We got married the end of March, and it could be like almost rainy season. We had every
Oh,
kind of weather that day. It was like
yeah.
snow, sun, rain, or like whatever. Bring it our way. It's fine.
I think I would take most things over sweating though.
Yeah.
Rain, I feel like you could just be like, oh well, like
There's been a
what are you
lot
gonna
of pretty weddings I've seen online with rain, and they like have like their umbrellas and it's all like decked out
Right. You
still.
know that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean? It's like the second one where she's like, the wedding got interrupted, but she's like being rained on. And I
Yes.
always thought that was so beautiful that you could do this white gothic wedding almost. If you had like the right vibe, it could definitely work out.
Yes. And I always look at those brides too, and I'm like, this is a bride that's there to get married. She's like more of like, yes, like let's like make it look aesthetic and everything. I love when they just show them like running down the aisle or like at the end, like getting rained on. I'm like, that's
It's
beautiful.
romantic. It
Yeah.
really is. It's an underrated. We went to one where it was pouring rain and it was pouring rain the whole way up until like she had to walk down the aisle. We were sitting there, everyone had like our programs covering our heads, like it was raining, and then it stopped. Oh my God, I'm gonna get chills. And this wasn't even my wedding. She walks down the aisle, the sun comes out, and a rainbow, a double rainbow comes out at the end of their ceremony. And I
Oh,
just remember thinking, like, that's amazing. Like, bravo. Like,
I had the best photos.
yeah, the photos were unreal. Like, it was so well done, weather. Like, it was well done.
I love that. That's the thing
It
too.
does not always happen that way, but I was very happy for her.
Yeah. I feel like right after a rain, it's like everything just looks a little brighter. Like, yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
But the
Uh,
sweating like a pig, not so much.
yeah, that I'm kind of out on.
There's no aesthetic way to like handle that. There's no glistening.
No, I'm definitely not one to glisten when I'm sweating either. After the ceremony, we took a few pictures and they sent us up to the reception venue, a community center in their neighborhood, about half a mile away. The caterers arrived at the same time the bridal party did. It was Mexican food catered by a restaurant, but they microwaved it on site. There weren't enough outlets in the prep area, so they plugged the microwaves in throughout the room. Naturally, this overwhelmed the circuit and tripped a breaker. No. Someone had to find the breaker box to reset it. Oh my gosh.
Oh
This
my
is,
God. So my background is in catering, and the second it was microwaved on scene, I was like, oh, this is gonna be bad. Just from like it's gonna be gross kind of way, but also the breaker box.
yeah, because even that alone, like microwaving all the food.
These like golf, I'm assuming it's like a golf club type thing. They have kitchens, commercial kitchens usually. I'm kind of,
Thing. And
or
this,
usually caterers will come and like see where they're serving from ahead of time. So like that's an interesting, or they would bring their own portable kitchen type deal. So
yeah, that seems like another interesting thing with like logistics. Like if you're gonna get married at a place to not, for them to not tell you, like the people that like own the venue to be like, hey, so we don't actually have a kitchen, so you have to do, bring it hot, or I don't know.
bring it hot, have some chafing dishes ready to go. Like what did they have, like 6 microwaves like through the reception area? That's what I'm picturing.
We're just gonna put it on the head table for a minute. We gotta warm up this
Yeah, just like all
rice.
of these microwaves just showing up. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, this poor bride, does it get worse?
Okay, even after all the guests had arrived and had been just standing around talking for 30 minutes, there was still no sign of the bride, groom, or photographer. There was no music, no announcements, and people were hungry. That's one of my worst things at a wedding. I feel like food needs to be like on time. Like,
Priority, sure. People are
yeah,
hungry and can be drunk, so like feed them early.
yeah. You need to fill their bellies. Yeah. Weddings where you're waiting like an extra long time for food. Like I feel like that you remember food. You remember things around food at weddings. We, the wedding party and bride's parents, finally decide to let people go through the buffet. No one told us not to. About 70 minutes after we arrived and around 15 minutes after everyone had eaten, the bride and groom finally show up. So they're all eating before the bride and groom come because no one knows where they are.
I get it. Sometimes you do like cocktail hour or you do like, but you got to feed people or give them drinks or something. That's a
Yeah.
long time.
You have to think about it as you're hosting a party, and so like your guests need to be taken care of. Yeah, you run away sometimes and do photos and stuff, but it sounds
Yeah, photos after the ceremony are super standard, but
yeah.
that's usually when there's like cocktail hour with some bites and
Mm.
some food.
Sounds like there was no wedding planner or coordinator or
Oh
someone.
God, no. No, there was
They
no
would have nipped
plan.
this in the bud.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So at that point, the DJ announces them. The bride was livid that people had eaten without them. Not much we could do at that point. We had gotten them plates and had them sit down so the rest of the schedule could continue. During the cake cutting, the groom ended up dripping chocolate down the front of the bride's dress. His
Okay. Just
poor
drop
dress.
the toast.
Let's just
The
go to bed at
dressing
this
down.
point.
Done. Yeah. Oh
Oh,
my God.
why are we having dripping chocolate? We gotta think about these things when we
The
pick our
cake and the
desserts.
dripping chocolate, I'm not sure I understand unless it's like a fondue thing, but
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's like a, was that chocolate fountain or something? I don't know. Oh gosh. The bridesmaids helped her to the bathroom to clean it up, and of course, it just smeared. Luckily, she was able to laugh this one off. Okay, that's good. Uh,
okay, that's a win.
yeah. The next day, we saw the couple at brunch before they left for their honeymoon. The only thing the bride could say about the wedding was that she still couldn't believe that we let people eat before they arrived. She said it on repeat, even after we explained the situation, and we even had to remind her of the good parts. We actually stayed friends after that until I broke up with a boyfriend who I only dated for about 10 months, and she had only known for about 5. He must have said something wild about me because she texted me saying she was worried about me. I explained why I broke up with him. He was manipulative, verbally abusive, narcissistic, and basically never heard from her again after that. Whoa, interesting.
Whoa,
That,
that was a wild ending to like this girl stuck it out for this wedding. That she was doing her best. I
yeah.
mean, to make this day happen.
I
Oh
know.
man,
And after all that, to just get a friend broken up with.
ghosted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the ex-boyfriend must have said something really heinous.
Hmm.
I feel like you should corroborate that.
Yeah, I would feel like if any of my friends, if their boyfriend or partner came to me and said something, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna trust my friend over
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna double check on that. We're gonna have a talk.
Yeah. So she just ends with, last I saw, she and her husband are still married with kids and seem happy, at least from what I can tell on Facebook.
Oh,
So,
well, thank goodness. I feel like the older generation always says the worse the wedding, the better the marriage. Or at least that's, I think, what they say, like to make people feel better about things like that.
yeah.
That, honestly, I feel like these things didn't happen to this couple. I feel like this couple thought they could plan a wedding and could not plan a wedding and realized way too late.
Yeah, I find because of the weddings I've been a part of, I find there's a lot of times where people just, as nicely as I can put it, they live in fairy tale land. So they like see a movie and they're like, oh, that looks beautiful, but they don't realize there's all these people behind the scenes that make it possible. So they have all these wishes or like desires for things to happen, and they think it'll just happen on that day. They don't realize, like, okay, well, if you want catering, then you need to have someone to set it up, or you need a kitchen, or if you want your bridesmaids to wear these dresses, you need like an aisle for them to walk down, or you need, like they don't think of
Yeah,
all the things it takes.
the attention to detail, which is why there are wedding planners.
Yes.
Because sometimes people can't do that and you need someone to help you. And again, like we only had a day of wedding planner. So I did a lot of the planning myself, but I feel like I had a lot of friend vendors. So like that helped out. But also just, I don't know, have you never thrown a party? There's certain things,
Mm.
alcohol, food, logistics, schedule. I do that when I throw my kid's birthday party. You know what I mean? It's the
Yeah.
same skill. Yeah. you still got to feed people. You've got to make sure people can get there. Probably want to set up ahead of time. These are like pretty standard for
Yeah.
hosting anything, not just a wedding. And a wedding is like 10 times more intense.
Oh yeah. I know my husband always laughs at me because like even for our daughter's party, like birthday parties, which are like 2, 3 hours max, I like write out a whole timeline. I'm like, okay, food arrives at this time, people arrive at this time. I have to
You
visualize
are
that stuff.
typing.
Oh, it's funny. I'm like type A when it comes to like planning stuff like that, but like I see type A like mom videos and I'm like, I don't think I'm a type A mom. I think I'm a type A planner. I don't even know if that makes sense.
But I have some of that too. I feel like when it comes down to making sure things like kind of run smoothly, I can be very hands-on. I don't make a timeline. So like I feel like that might be my next
Over the
step.
top.
Might be my next step. But yeah, like I love hosting. I love cooking and like cooking very much is about timing and execution. So like that sort of skill, my biggest pet peeve is when I'm like finished cooking and I've timed everything and I've told people like when food's gonna be ready and then they're like absent-mindedly like mingling or something. I'm like, no, 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 the food is hot and ready
Right now. Yeah, this is the
right
perfect
now.
time.
This
Yeah.
is eating time. We must sit now.
This is it. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I feel like those definitely, all those things. I feel like we said, like, have you hosted or whatever? I think there are a lot of brides that this is their first time, like, really like hosting something.
You should not be doing it on your own. Yeah. If
Yeah.
it's your first time ever hosting anything, you've never done like a holiday party or you've never hosted your friend's birthday party,
Hmm.
don't try with the wedding. The wedding's not the time to like take
Yeah.
a stab.
I know. I think that's when it gets so stressful. I was the same with you where as you were, I pretty much planned it, but like our wedding venue had a day of coordinator and people don't realize
Yeah,
how
we did.
helpful that is because that person's gonna like do the behind the scenes running around, making sure things are where they need to be. And I've done that for a few weddings now. And that I love doing it because I'm like, you tell me what to do. You tell me what needs to be done. I will
Yeah.
make sure it's done. Don't get dirty.
Well,
I will do that.
if you want to, and like back to what we were saying before with I wish I had been a guest at my wedding. If I had also been like running around coordinating the staff and the vendors, the drop-offs and the pickups, you're not having any fun. You're not having any good of a time at all because you're so stressed about the comings and goings. And there's so much that goes into getting everybody where they need to be at the right time and getting everything to execute.
Yeah.
I am like a huge proponent of even if you don't do a planner for like the whole wedding prep, the whole wedding planning, definitely a day of.
Yeah.
But maybe that your like engagement gift, right? From your parents or your in-laws or something, a day of coordinator.
Yeah, just someone to like ease a little bit of the stress because you don't want to just randomly like task people with it that day because they're not going to be thinking about it. And it's just, yeah, there's random things that just pop up for sure.
You really are.
All right, well, that was a crazy story. All right, I always like to end these with weekly confessions. So people send me confessions kind of related to event or weddings on social media. So let's see here. This first one says, I absolutely hate the girl that my sister-in-law loves. It makes me hate seeing my sister-in-law too.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, hopefully that doesn't last long. I don't know.
yeah, that's tough because you can only do so much when it's a sister-in-law. I'm guessing it's like your partner's sister, I would guess. So you probably can't.
That's what I assumed. I assumed it was like your partner's sister's girlfriend. Is that what we're
Yeah,
going with?
that's what I would get. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, you usually button your mouth until you have to not button your mouth on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait till they say something to you and they ask for your opinion or something happens and you can be like, well, here's what I think. Until then, you got to let it work itself out. Otherwise, you'll be the villain.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
This says, I had to uninvite half of my friends to make room for my mother-in-law's tennis buddies. No.
What?
Whose wedding is it?
Oh my God, I call it. They're going to stop talking to the mother-in-law like 5 years down the road. Like altogether.
Yeah.
No way. That's insane.
That sounds like, and I'm obviously reading between the lines, but that sounds like a mother-in-law that was maybe paying for part of it or something, and she used that as a way to like control the wedding. Because
Mhm.
I see the make room, like you had to. Who said you had to?
Yeah, that's a manipulation. Like that. I don't love that.
I don't
I feel
either.
like it's probably going to go bye-bye for a little while.
Yeah, we need to say no, set some boundaries with that mother-in-law. Okay, this last one says, I joked I wanted pockets on my wedding dress for getaway money. Deep
I love that.
down, I think I knew it was true. Oh, the number of times
Okay.
people have confessed to me, like, I had a feeling before the wedding. I told my dad I didn't want to get married before the wedding, and I still did. I've gotten so many of those. And
I
I'm
had a friend do that to me.
really,
Yes, I knew before they got married that she did not really want to start all over, is like how she kind of put it. I don't know. I took that to my grave. We don't really speak anymore, and that is not my business, and they're still married. So
oh,
sometimes it works out.
oh. See, I was gonna say the opposite happened to me, and I've talked about this before, but I was in a wedding years ago, and every wedding event there was some kind of thing, and it was with him, every kind of thing. And she like cried in the car after the bachelorette party. She cried in
Oh
the
yeah,
car
don't do it.
after the
Mhm.
rehearsal, all these different things. And I was just like, hey, should we rethink this? Oh, we already paid the vendors. I'm like, yeah, but divorce is way more expensive.
Oh God, no. Yeah, no. If there's a doubt in your mind on the person, I feel like you've got to cut and run. Getting divorced is so much more traumatic. It's so much more expensive. God forbid you like have a bunch of kids. No, if it's not right. This is why also on my page, I talk a lot about, and I'm very happily married, that like marriage should not be this like default standard that people are trying to hit because when you get 12 years in a marriage and most people my age got married somewhere around the same time I did, you see a lot of divorces by now. Okay. We're starting to have that first round of divorces coming through. And it's like, God, what a waste. Not what a waste, because like a lot of them have children, and that's like the wonderful thing that came out of it. But you don't have to get married. You could end up really miserable, like in so many ways. And that's like, it's just not something that if you can in any way imagine your life without that person, not without a spouse, but without that specific person, don't do it.
Right.
100%, especially if you're a woman.
Oh yeah, totally. And I was talking this too, like I've been with my husband, I think we're going on 11 years this year, but we've been married 3. And so like for us, I totally agree with what you said about like you don't have to get married, you don't have to follow a certain timeline. So many people are constantly like, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? And I was like, we
Yeah.
do things on our own timeline. And I just feel like so many people have their own expectations on everyone else. And especially as women, I feel like we have the expectations of like, okay, I need to do this, then I need to get married, I need to have a baby. You feel like you have to follow this timeline.
Yeah. And
No.
it feels like a rushed timeline at the moment. And I fell prey to that too. I was like, oh, I want to have 2 kids by 30. And like I did, but now looking back at it, I'm like, you idiot. You should have just been like, find the right person and then figure it out. Like,
Yeah, I know. I remember if it were just like my then boyfriend, but husband and like doing our own thing, we'd be like totally fine. And then someone would like bring up like, oh, are you guys gonna get married? And I would be like, wait, are we doing something wrong? And like it almost puts this
yeah.
like not guilt, but this feeling of you of like, wait, are we doing something wrong? Is our relationship because we're just dating right now? Is that wrong? And you start getting this like
No, because
fear.
half of them end in divorces anyway. So like, you know what I mean? Marriage
Yeah.
isn't the great indicator of like lifelong companionship anymore.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, and
and
like too, our parents' generation, I feel like they were so committed to like marriage that like they stayed unhappily married for so long without actually like admitting like I actually hate
oh, and
this
they want
person.
gold stars for it too. They're like, we've been married 35 years. I hate Jeff, but he lives in the other bedroom. But we've been married this long. And I'm like, but why? What kind of award are you winning here? I know some people have the whole like divorce is a sin thing, but you're already in hell. So have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see the point in that. A relationship should only be there to enhance your already wonderful life. And if it doesn't do that, then it's not worth it. And I kind of feel the same way about kids too. I feel like the relationships that I see with people who don't have kids by choice, obviously there's like people who have extenuating circumstances where they can't have children, but people who choose not to have kids, I feel like they have this like gift of time to like really find their perfect partner,
Yeah.
and they usually choose better.
Hmm.
Like they get to choose somebody that they truly just genuinely want to spend all their time with, as opposed to people who do the musical chairs type of marriage where they're like, well, it's been 3 years since college. Like, I guess you're the
I
guy.
need a
Like,
yes. Yeah.
yeah, I guess you're the person I'm with right now. So, musical chairs, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get married. Timeline's a ticking. I feel like it kind of saddles us down
Oh yeah.
in a way.
Yeah, that's definitely another thing with as women, we're like told that the biological clock is ticking, you need to have kids, hurry up. My husband and I, since year 1 of dating, when are you guys gonna have kids? And I was like, I'm not even thinking about kids, or what are you talking about? And I like look back and I'm like, if I had kids when we had started dating, I was like, I would have been a completely different mom. I would have been a completely different financial point in my life. And not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying everyone's timeline is different. Because I know people have had kids at in their early 20s and they are thriving and they were meant to be moms at that point. But I just feel like it's so important to like listen to your own timeline because I have friends
I
now that
think
are
this
like,
new generation is doing a lot better than like we were as
yeah,
millennials. I feel like the younger girls are like really coming to the table with the head on the shoulders a little bit more without like the fairy tale movie
mm,
princess aspect that we were kind of sold.
yes, I love that. Yeah. I've noticed like the shift in the movies, especially with my daughter being, she's 2, and I feel like the movies have shifted. Obviously, there's still the fairy tale, but I'm like, let's watch Moana because she's like
Yeah.
brave, or Merida. She doesn't need a man. I try to like show her some different things because, of course, we still love the classics, but it's good to kind of open their horizons up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she still very much knows she wants to get married and have kids. Like I knew from a young age, so I don't balk at that. Some people just like really have that desire, but she still is like, well, maybe I'll be president and a dance teacher. And I'm like, you go, you
I
do
love
both.
that.
Like,
Yes.
yes, you do
Nothing will
both.
stop you, girl. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was such a good discussion. And I feel like it was good to kind of like just talk about obviously like the pressures on women and bridezillas, and there's just a lot of cool things we talked about. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, I loved it. This is such a fun topic. I'm sure you get so entertained hearing all these stories. So that was so fun.
Yeah, they never cease to surprise or amaze me. It's always something new.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, for anyone listening, where can everyone follow you, find more of your content, and anything exciting that you want to share on your content?
Yeah, you can find me on mostly TikTok and Instagram. My handle is It's Me, Lisa P. I like to say I talk about hard topics in cute outfits, and that covers relationships and marriage and parenting and boundaries and setting boundaries once you have kids, which I feel like once you get past the bride phase, that's coming next. And you can find me there. And yeah, I would like to say I have something big in the works coming, but I don't because I homeschool my kids, and this is what we're doing.
That is big in itself. Like, momming is a full-time job.
Yeah, I wear a lot of hats, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.